Hello and welcome back to Overbooked. I'm Amanda, and today we're going to be talking about the worst books I read in 2021. My glasses are so dirty. Before I get too far into the video, I don't know if you guys have noticed or have been watching a lot of my Bookmas videos or vlogmas videos, whatever you want to call them. In the comments, or in the description, I've been highlighting a nonprofit that is in South Dakota, my home state, and it's the Trans Advocacy for South Dakota. I just want to make sure that people are checking this out. I think it's a really crucial organization, especially in a state like South Dakota, where a lot of kids who are LGBTQ plus or trans just probably aren't really cared about or disregarded in a lot of the state laws and state senate. And so I just want to make sure that this organization who is working to fight some of those bills and the legislation, and they do a lot of protests and they help those in the community. So I just want to make sure that they're highlighted. So for every comment on one of my videos during Bookmas, I'm going to contribute $5 to their organization, up to $100. So please comment in any of these videos and your comment will contribute $5. Thank you for listening to that PSA. Now let's get into the video. 2021, I'm not gonna lie, hasn't been the greatest reading year for me. I haven't read a ton of like mind-blowingly great books. Like I feel like last year I read a significant amount of books that I just loved. The year before, same thing. But this year I just like don't know what it was. I just didn't really enjoy a lot of the books I read, which is kind of disappointing. I didn't also like hate all the books I read. They're just all were very mediocre. But I do have 3 books that I just absolutely hated. Probably should have DNF'd them, but whatever, we didn't because I can't do that. I need to work on that. But I have 3. And they're in no particular order. They're not worst to most worst. I just went into my Goodreads and started from January to now. So, and I don't anticipate any of the other books that I'm reading for the end of the year to be terrible. So I think this is a pretty safe video to make early December. Here we go. The first book that I want to talk about is Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which is probably very controversial. This is not probably a very popular opinion. I actually have a whole book review I did on Untamed by Glennon Doyle because I read it for the Reading Women Challenge. It was like a book cover designed by a woman. I was very excited about this book. I thought it was going to be great. I had heard great things about it. I'm intrigued by Glennon Doyle's story, and I really wanted to learn more about her and her life. It just really fell short for me. I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed maybe a small fraction at the beginning of the book, and then it just really went downhill. So Glennon Doyle is this Untamed is her memoir / self-help book. It just kind of details some snippets of her life, but also gives advice. There's a mixture of stories. There's no chronological order, which is really fine, but I just don't think it really worked, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I listened to it on audio as well, and I hated it. She narrates the audiobook, which for some people I think would be great if you really like her, if you like her voice. I hated it because I felt like my kindergarten teacher was reading to me the entire book. That's her voice. It was a very kindergarten teacher voice, and I just couldn't take it. I was I'm a 26-year-old woman. Wait, am I 26 or am I 27? Oh my God, I'm 27. Okay. Wait, am I 27? How old am I? Hey Chandler, how old am I? I'm 26. Yeah. So I'm a 26-year-old woman. I don't need to be read like I'm in kindergarten. It's just, that's the thing. So I did not enjoy that aspect of the book. I guess maybe I don't remember how old I am. Maybe I should be in kindergarten. There was just a lot of things I just didn't enjoy. You can definitely check out my book review on it. I go through the whole thing, and it's probably much better to watch that than to hear me talk about it here because I read that in January, and I really can't remember anything else about that book. But I will say this. I know a lot of people loved it. I feel like you should always just take people's opinions of books or anything really with a grain of salt. If you've had this on your want to read list and you think you want to read it, please go read it and see it for yourself. You might love it and it might be one of your favorite books. It doesn't matter if I don't like it. So please keep that in mind if you're trying to use this as a basis of if you should read or not. But I did not enjoy it. So the next book I want to talk about is Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna. I really enjoy Kristen Hanna for the most part. So I've read The Nightingale, which I enjoyed. I read The Great Alone, which I enjoyed. And I read The Four Winds this year, which I enjoyed. So when my friend told me that she read this book called Magic Hour and she loved it, and it was by Kristen Hanna, I was like, well, of course I'll read it. I bet I'll love it. I hated it. I did not enjoy this book. So the Magic Hour, it's about these two sisters, and one is a counselor, a therapist, whatever, and the other one's like a small town sheriff, which I think I talked about this in one of my wrap-ups. You literally hear the word, it's a small town. We're just in a small town, like 10 million times. I can't take it. I can't take it how many times they mention that you are in a small town. If you took out the mention of like small town in this book, which was like probably like around 400 pages, it could probably be like a 350 page book. There's just so much repetition because like apparently the reader can't grasp what's going on. I don't know. Anyways, so there's two sisters, sheriff, counselor, right? Therapist. You know, the small town sheriff, she's like, you know, just single, but she's sexy and hot. No one understands why she's single. And she just always runs into trouble with men or whatever the fuck. And there's nothing that ever happens in their small town. She doesn't really do anything, whatever. The other sister, who's a counselor, ended up like having this child. And I can't really remember the details who, I think the child might have killed themselves and the counselor didn't see it coming and the parents are blaming her and yada, yada, yada. So she gets like essentially fired from her job. So she comes back home essentially to her sister. I don't remember the details, but when she comes back, oh no, she doesn't come back. I think she's just chilling. But the small town sheriff, how great is this synopsis? Small town sheriff, there's this child that's found in the woods and she doesn't talk, she doesn't communicate, she seems like feral. Like she's just a wild child. Nobody understands where she came from, who she belongs to, and she won't communicate with other people. And so the sheriff's sister calls her counselor sister, who specializes in like child psychology. And so she comes and they're both working to like solve this case on like where this girl came from. And then the therapist is trying to like, you know, help this girl communicate with them and also like figure out if she can help figure out where this girl is supposed to be and who she belongs to and what happened to her. So that's the book, but it's just bad. I love the female energy. I love the sister story, but it was just too focused on like them finding a man, either being single or I don't know. It was just weird. And there was a lot of things I just didn't like. So like I've already mentioned the repetition. There was the small town thing, but there was also just repetition on like how hot the sheriff sister was, like just repeatedly. There was just repetition on just small facts over and over again that just wasn't needed, I didn't think. And there was also so this book was written in like the mid 2000s, so I think 2007 or something, 2006. With that being said, there was a lot of like phobias, like fat phobia, homophobia mixed into the book that I just thought was super cringy. There was a friend who's a friend of the sheriff. She is constantly labeled as fat. She eats too much. She's always eating. She's always trying to diet. She just obviously is not attractive, apparently, to the reader. Like it's just driven home over and over again. I don't understand the point. It didn't add anything to the story. I don't understand how this friend who is fat and always on a diet pertains to this young girl who literally cannot communicate and talk. I don't get it. There's also another friend of the sheriff who is a man. He's single, he's single, divorced, has 2 kids, and no one understands why he doesn't get together with somebody else. It's like repeatedly joked about that he's gay, and it gives like a vibe that it's like a bad thing that he's gay. It's like made fun of that he likes, I don't remember what he likes, like cartoons or anime or something. I can't remember, comics I think he might have liked. And that is just always driven home how weird that is. And I'm like, okay. I don't know how odd it is. What is the sheriff? What's her hobby? Literally just being hot and being bored? I don't know. There's a lot of that was just like weird. I don't know. I just didn't like it. It gave me a bad taste in my mouth when I read it. And I don't know. Not saying that all books from that time are bad, but it was just like, okay, this makes sense. Okay, so the last book I want to talk about, I want to preface. So I read this for my work book club. It's the only reason I read it. But there were some people who loved it in my work book club, and then there was me who hated it. Yeah. So it's called HeartShaped Box by Joe Hill, who is apparently the son of Stephen King or something. I don't know. There's some kind of connection there. I don't remember. HeartShaped Box is this book about a rocker dude who's older. So I think he's like done rocking out. I don't know. He loves like collecting things and getting like really weird shit. Like he just, I don't know, has a whole house full of weird, eccentric things. And one day on eBay, he finds this like, what's it called? A haunted suit or something. Like somebody said like they're selling this suit and it's like a ghost, it's haunted, whatever. And there's really no discussion about it. He's just like, I gotta have it. And so he's like bids on it and immediately gets it. It's a very weird. I was just listening to this on audio and I was just like the whole time like, this is fucking weird. So maybe I missed some things, but the whole transaction seemed odd to me, but whatever. So it ends up, obviously the suit is clearly haunted, like it is real. And the book is like this character being haunted by the ghost of the suit, dealing with some of his past and dealing with the ghost. I don't know. It's fucking weird. I didn't like this book. It was definitely out of my comfort zone. It's not something that I would ever go out of my way to pick up. What I didn't like about this book really was just how fucking annoying our main character is. And I feel like that's probably the point, but he was a complete douche. And he treated all the women around him like assholes. Or he was an asshole to all the women around him. Like all the women in this book were painted as idiots, dumb, skanky, like they were just dumb and weren't like just worth it, which was just annoying. I literally hate that in a book when it's like all the like none of the women in this book had like, they all had something wrong with them. And I'm like, bro, you ordered a haunted suit off of eBay, so you're fucking weird too. So it was just a fucking weird ending. I just don't, like, it was just all very, very, very bizarre. And again, I don't really read this genre, so maybe it was me. Like, it was just like, yikes, Amanda, this is why we don't read it, okay? The misogyny was probably the worst for me, you know? That's what did it for me, I think. The audiobook that I listened to also was weird because it would randomly play music, like rocker music, in between chapters or parts of the book. And I was like, this is weird. It was a weird book. I'll have to put somewhere where I think I did a couple of vlogs while I was reading it, or I did a wrap up. I'll link that down below because I blocked out most of this book because it was just weird. I didn't like it at all. So you could probably get more out of those than what I can give you right now. Those were the 3 worst books I think I read this year. Like I said, I read a lot of just like mediocre books this year, so I'm really hoping that 2022 is a lot better reading year for me. I hope it is. I hope I can read more books in 2022. I think I've really harnessed the power of audiobooks, so I think I know what books I can really plow through on audio now, like what kind of genres I'm good at, so hopefully I'll be good. But I'm sure there's gonna be some crazy dumb books I read next year as well, but sometimes it's fun to read bad books because it's so much more fun to rant about a terrible book than it is to talk about a book that I really loved. I don't know why, that doesn't make any sense, but that's how I feel, so, but whatever. In the comments below, let me know what books you read that were just terrible this year. Let me know what the worst books that you read in 2021. I want to hear them. Rant to me. Let me hear your thoughts. I want to hear about those terrible books. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you guys next time.